After watching this story, the shocking news will make you cry at the end. It can happen to you too. Imagine what it would be like to fist your pregnant wife in the stomach, find out about your father's forensic past and your brother's painful childhood, and then lose them all? How will you feel and how will your life change? Watch to the end. This story is based on real events and has shocked millions of people. It will change your ideas about love and trust. The Weight of Shadows. Part 1. The Cracks Beneath the Surface. Alex Mercer was a man stretched thin, 2 jobs, mounting bills, and the gnawing fear that he was losing control. His wife, Emma, had been distant lately, lost in hushed phone calls and unexplained absences. At first, he dismissed it as stress after all. They were both exhausted. But then came the nausea, the fatigue, the way her hand lingered protectively over her stomach. She's pregnant. The realization should have brought joy, but instead, it curdled into suspicion. They hadn't been intimate in months, so whose child was it? Part 2. The Breaking Point. One storm-lashed night, after another silent dinner, Alex confronted her. "Who is he?" His voice was a blade, sharp and trembling. Emma's eyes flickered guilt, fear, before she turned away. "I don't know what you're talking about." The denial was gasoline on the fire. His vision blurred red. A shove, a scream. His fist connected with her abdomen before he even realized he'd swung. The moment the blow landed, time froze. Emma crumpled, clutching herself, her face a mask of betrayal and pain. Alex staggered back, his hands shaking. "What have I done?" Part 3. The Ghost from the Past. As Emma recovered in the hospital, a ghost walked back into their lives. Lena, Emma's former best friend, who had vanished without a word 5 years ago. Lena was different now, hardened, haunted. She came bearing secrets, whispering to Emma in hushed tones when she thought Alex wasn't listening. "He deserves to know the truth," Lena murmured. "What truth?" Alex's paranoia spiraled. Had Emma and Lena been conspiring against him? Or was there something darker at play? Part 4. The Brothers Return. Then came Daniel, Alex's estranged brother, back in town after years of silence. The brothers had once been close, until a bitter falling out over money, over family, over Emma. Daniel's reappearance was no coincidence. He watched Alex with knowing eyes, dropping cryptic remarks. "You always did have a temper," Daniel said, sipping his whiskey. "Funny how history repeats itself." Alex's blood ran cold. What did that mean? Part 5. The Mother's Secret. Their mother, Eleanor, had always favored Alex, her golden boy. But when she learned what he'd done to Emma, something in her fractured. "You're just like your father," she whispered, her voice breaking. Alex recoiled. His father had been a monster, a drunk, a brute. No, that wasn't him. But the seed of doubt took root. Had he inherited more than just his father's eyes? Part 6. The Workplace Whispers. At the auto shop where Alex worked, his coworkers had noticed his unraveling, the missed shifts, the outbursts, the way he flinched at raised voices. Then came the rumors. "Did you hear? Mercer hit his wife." The words slithered through the break room, poisoning his reputation. His boss pulled him aside, warning him to get his act together. But it was too late, the town had already begun to judge. Part 7. The Shocking Revelation. Then, Lena dropped the bomb. "Emma is pregnant," she said, her voice steady. "But it's not an affair, it's yours." Alex's world tilted. "How? They hadn't—" "That night you came home drunk," Emma said quietly. "You don't remember, but I do." Shame crashed over him. He had forced himself on her. And in his guilt, he'd convinced himself she'd betrayed him. Part 8. The Final Confrontation. Daniel's smirk said it all he'd known. Maybe even encouraged Alex's suspicions. "You always assume the worst of her," Daniel said. Just like Dad did with Mom. The cycle was clear now. Alex had become the very thing he despised. Part 9. The Choice. Emma stood before him, bruised but unbroken. "I loved you," she said. "But love shouldn't hurt." The question hung between them. Can we come back from this? Alex had a choice. Beg for forgiveness and face the long road of redemption. Let her go and live with the knowledge that he destroyed the best thing in his life. In the end, Emma left. Not with Daniel, not with vengeance, just with her dignity. Alex was left in the wreckage of his actions, staring at his reflection in the shattered mirror of their marriage. Some sins couldn't be undone. Part 10. The Blood in the Basement. Alex had always known his father, Victor Mercer, was a violent man, but he never knew how violent. Until the criminologist showed up. Dr. Rebecca Voss, a forensic psychologist researching generational cycles of abuse, had been digging into Victor's past. She arrived in town with a file thicker than a Bible and eyes that saw too much. "Your father wasn't just an angry drunk, Alex," she said, sliding a faded police report across the table. "He was a suspect in a disappearance." The truth about Victor, Eleanor. Victor had met Eleanor in the 1980-so whirlwind romance that turned toxic within months. He was charming at first, a mechanic with rough hands and a disarming smile. But behind closed doors, he was a storm looking for a place to land. Eleanor endured it for the children. But then, in the winter of 1992, Victor's co-worker, a woman named Irina, vanished. The rumors were immediate. Irina and Victor had been having an affair. Eleanor had found out. The night Irina disappeared, Victor came home with blood on his shirt. But without a body, the case went cold. The basement revelation. Dr. Voss had a theory. "I think your mother knows where Irina is," she said. Alex's stomach dropped. No, not her, not Mom. But then, he remembered the locked basement door. The one Eleanor never let anyone open. The shocking discovery. That night, Alex broke the lock. Behind stacks of old boxes, buried under bags of lime, was a rusted toolbox. Inside a woman's locket, a faded ID card, and a single bone fragment. Eleanor's voice came from behind him, icy calm. "He made me help him hide her." Eleanor's confession spilled out like poison. Victor had killed Irina in a rage, then forced Eleanor to help dispose of the body. She stayed with him afterward out of fear, out of guilt, out of warped loyalty. And when Victor drank himself to death years later, she thought the secret had died with him. But now, Dr. Voss was asking questions. And if the truth got out, Eleanor would go to prison. The criminologist's game. Dr. Voss wasn't just there for research. She had a personal stake. Irina was her aunt. "I don't want to destroy your family, Alex," she said. "But I will have justice." Now, Alex faced an impossible choice. Protect his mother and let a killer's legacy live on. Turn her in and destroy the only family he had left. The final twist. But then Daniel knew. Somehow, his brother had always suspected. And if Eleanor went down, he'd make sure Alex went with her. "You think you're better than me?" Daniel had sneered. "You're just like Dad and Mom, and soon everyone will know it." The question left unanswered. As Dr. Voss closed in, Alex stood at the edge of a moral abyss. Would he break the cycle? Or had the Mercer family's sins already doomed them all? Part 11. The Brothers' Betrayal. Daniel had always been the calculating one. While Alex drowned in guilt and rage, Daniel saw an opportunity. He went to Dr. Voss with a deal. "I'll give you my mother in exchange for immunity." Eleanor never saw it coming. One rainy evening, police stormed the Mercer home. Daniel stood in the doorway, cold-eyed, as they dragged Eleanor away, her screams echoing the same way Irina's must have, decades before. The trial was swift. With Daniel's testimony and the evidence Alex had unwittingly uncovered, Eleanor was sentenced to 15 years in prison. But prison was a death sentence for a woman who had helped bury a body. Part 12. A Mother's Revenge from Beyond the Bars. Eleanor lasted 6 months before she was found strangled in the showers, a hit ordered by Irina's old allies, inmates who had waited decades for justice. Daniel didn't mourn. He celebrated. With their mother gone, he thought he was finally free. He was wrong. The truth about Daniel's childhood. Daniel Mercer had never been his mother's favorite. From the time he could walk, Eleanor saw something in him that made her skin crawl, maybe because he looked too much like Victor when he smiled, maybe because he was weak where Alex was strong. Whatever the reason, her dislike festered into cruelty. Age 6. She burned his hand on the stove for reaching into the cookie jar. Age 8. She pulled out his hair for not cooking her dinner. Age 10. She locked him in the basement over week for talking back. Age 12. She broke his finger for talking to his classmates. Age 14. She broke 2 of his ribs with a broom handle after he came home drunk. "You're just like your father," she'd spit, and he was nothing but a monster. Daniel never fought back, not until the night he sold her out to the police. 3 nights after Eleanor's funeral, Daniel's car was forced off a cliff. Alex was the prime suspect. He had motive. Daniel had destroyed their family. He had opportunity. He'd been seen near Daniel's house that night. But the truth was darker. Daniel was driving too fast, the way he always did when he was angry. The rain was coming down in sheets, blurring the windshield, but he didn't slow down. He just left a bar, half drunk, still furious that Eleanor had dared to beg for his forgiveness in court. "You did this to yourself," he'd hissed at her. "You should have loved me more." He never saw the headlights until it was too late. A black truck, no plates, tinted windows rammed him from behind, sending his car fishtailing toward the cliff's edge. For one terrifying second, Daniel thought it was Alex. Then the truck hit him again. His car flipped once, twice, before plunging into the ravine below. The impact should have killed him instantly. It didn't. The last words of a dying man. Daniel woke up choking on blood, his legs crushed under the dashboard. Through the shattered windshield, he saw a figure approaching, not Alex, not a cop. A man in a mechanic's jacket, the same kind Victor used to wear. "Eleanor sends her regards," the man said, before dousing the car in gasoline. Daniel screamed. But the rain was too loud, the night too dark. No one heard him burn. When Alex was questioned, the detectives expected guilt. Instead, they saw relief. "He got what he deserved," Alex said quietly. And for the first time in his life, he meant it. Part 14. The truth comes out. Just as Alex was about to be arrested, Emma returned. She'd been staying with Lena, but now, with Daniel and Eleanor gone, she saw the man Alex was trying to become. She handed the police an alibi, security footage of Alex at a gas station miles away when Daniel died. But more than that, she handed Alex a choice. "We can keep running from the past," she said, her hands resting on her swollen belly. "Or we can end it here." Part 15. A New Legacy. Alex sold the family house. The basement was filled in with concrete. He quit his second job, started therapy, and for the first time held his daughter without fear. Emma never asked about the toolbox. He never asked about the nights she'd spent with Lena. Some ghosts were better left buried. Epilogue. The last letter. Years later, Dr. Voss sent a letter. "Irina's remains were found," she wrote. "The case is closed." Alex burned it. Then he went inside, where Emma was laughing, their daughter on her hip, sunlight streaming through the windows. Alex had spent his life believing he was the victim of his father's rage, his mother's lies, his brother's betrayals. But he never understood the truth. Daniel was the unwanted child. While Alex was shielded, Daniel was beaten. While Alex was loved, Daniel was tolerated. While Alex was given second chances, Daniel was left to rot in the dark. And when the time came, Alex judged him for becoming exactly what their family had made him, a man who knew no love, only survival. In the end, Alex raised his daughter with gentle hands, whispering, "I love you," like it was easy. But he never asked himself, what if she had been born Daniel? Would he have loved her then? Some wounds are invisible until you realize their consequences. The Weight of Shadows is a heartbreaking exploration of betrayal, inherited violence, and the lies we tell ourselves in order to survive. This is a story about how far we will go to escape from our past, and how hard we will fight for a future worth living for. This is not just a detective murder, it's a psychological time bomb where each character must answer their own question. How far are you willing to go to protect those you love? And when does loyalty become a crime? What do you think about this story? Write in the comments, subscribe, and wait for the next video. It will show you the true essence of a person who shocks you. If you don't subscribe, you will make a huge mistake.